Imagine standing in front of an entire city, a city so perfect it almost makes you question whether it's real at all. Massive white buildings, towering columns, domes glowing under the sunlight. Everything around you feels like it was designed purely to impress you. But then suddenly, just a few years later, it's all gone, completely gone, as if someone decided to erase the city from the face of the earth. Let me tell you this story from the very beginning, because it's not what you'd expect at all. And if this is your first time hearing about it, I suggest you stay with me until the end. And if you enjoy this kind of mysterious, real-life storytelling, don't forget to like the video and subscribe so more people can discover it. Because what you're about to hear isn't just history. It's one of the strangest stories that actually happened. It all began in 1893, during a massive event known as the World's Columbian Exposition. It took place in Chicago, United States, and its purpose was to celebrate 400 years since Christopher Columbus's voyage. But what happened there was far bigger than just a celebration. We are talking about an entire city built from scratch. Over 200 massive buildings, streets, water canals, a fully working electrical system, all of it completed in record time, less than 2 years. From the very beginning, it was unbelievable. For many, it was simply impossible. This city was later called the White City, and the name wasn't random. Almost every building was covered in a white material that gave it a feeling of purity and perfection. Visitors at the time described being completely shocked, as if they had stepped into another world, a world that felt advanced, perfectly organized, and so refined that it made them forget they were still in the 19th century. But here's the thing. The strange part wasn't that they built a city like this. The strange part is what came after. When I started digging into this story, I thought everything was clear. A city built quickly for an exhibition, then dismantled afterward. Simple enough. But the deeper I looked, the more small details started appearing, details that completely changed the picture. One of the most important pieces came from a demolition worker named Frank Bello. He was one of the last people involved in tearing the buildings down. In other words, he saw the truth from the inside, not from photos or official reports. Now imagine this moment. It's 1894. The exposition has ended. The decision is made to tear everything down. Frank Bello is standing in front of buildings that were supposed to be temporary. Structures described as light, made of cheap materials like plaster and fibers, easy to demolish, quick to build. But when they started the work, something shocking happened. The columns weren't hollow. The walls weren't light. Everything was heavy, solid, real. What stood out to me here is that the official version claimed the buildings were made from a material called staff, a lightweight mixture commonly used for temporary exhibitions. This is mentioned in historical sources like Wikipedia and Britannica. But what Bello reportedly described was completely different. He claimed that what they were destroying was real stone, thick brick, and deep foundations, not just decorative structures. Now, to be fair, there is no strong, verified historical evidence confirming Bello's testimony officially. But at the same time, there has been ongoing debate about whether all the buildings were truly just temporary lightweight structures. Because historically speaking, some buildings were indeed permanent. For example, the Palace of Fine Arts still exists today as the Art Institute of Chicago. So here's the question. If some buildings were permanent, could others have been as well? Or were those just exceptions? This is where the story enters a gray area. Nothing is fully black or white anymore. And then there's the speed. The speed at which this city was built is what really raises questions. To give you a comparison, the Brooklyn Bridge took around 14 years to complete. One project, just a bridge. But here we are talking about an entire city, over 200 buildings, complex architectural designs, infrastructure, electricity, water systems, all finished in less than 2 years. Of course, historical records say thousands of workers were involved, working day and night, which could explain part of the speed. But does it fully explain it? That remains an open question, especially when you look at the level of detail in old photographs. Carvings, decorations, massive columns. These are things that normally take a very long time to complete. Another strange theory suggests that parts of the city may have been built on existing foundations. This is not confirmed, just speculation, but it comes from reports mentioning internal modifications, doors being sealed, windows being altered, as if structures were adjusted rather than built entirely from zero. But let's go back to the demolition, because this is where things become even more unusual. After the exhibition ended, instead of reusing materials, which was extremely common at the time, a very strange decision was made. Total destruction. Not dismantling, not relocation. Destruction. Imagine marble being broken apart, decorations destroyed, metal cut into pieces, nothing preserved. This goes completely against economic logic. Demolition companies usually profit from reusing materials, but here, it was the opposite, as if someone was willing to lose money just to make sure nothing remained. Historical sources mention that part of the destruction was caused by a major fire in 1894. That is a documented event. But even after the fire, the remaining structures were still demolished. So the question becomes, was this all normal? Or was there something else behind it? And when you reach this point in the story, you start to feel something is off. The speed, the materials, the demolition process. Each element alone might make sense, but when you combine them, the picture becomes strange. And if you're still here with me, don't forget to support the video with a like and subscribe. Because this kind of content takes a lot of research, and I try to present it as accurately as possible without exaggeration. Let's continue. Because what comes next is the part that made me rethink everything. While searching for evidence that could confirm or deny this story, I ran into a major problem: missing information. A project of this scale, a city of this size, should have extremely detailed documentation, blueprints, construction logs, daily reports. But what actually exists is not as complete as you would expect. Some say this is normal, that records may have been lost over time. That is possible. But others find it strange, especially considering how massive the event was. What really made me pause was the fact that some potentially important details seem to have been overlooked. Not necessarily hidden, but almost ignored, as if they were not considered important. And that raises a question. Is the story we know complete? Or are there missing pieces? And if those missing pieces were ever revealed, would they change everything we think we know? Let me be honest with you. There is no solid evidence of a conspiracy, and there is also no solid evidence that the official story is false. But there is a space in between, a space of doubt, a space that makes you think twice. Imagine being Frank Bello, standing in front of a building that was supposed to be temporary, but every strike of the hammer confirms it is real, heavy, built to last years, not months. That feeling alone is enough to make you question everything. And the question that remains is simple. Why build an entire city with such effort, only to destroy it completely afterward? Was it just for display? Or was there something deeper? The deeper you go, the more questions appear, and the answers become fewer.